Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show with my co-host, Lindsay Mann.
Hello, Brien. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And we have a fabulous guest, but before we get into that, we're going to go over a couple of things. First of all, some of you have never listened to the Ask Brien radio show. How do we spell Brien? With an E. Askbrien. This is kind of like Sesame Street. Boys and girls, let's go. Askbrien. And it's AskBrien.com. What is Ask Brien all about? Well, our listeners know what it's all about, but some of those who are just tuning in for the first time, well, we're going to tell you. Ask Brien was a website that was created to help business owners solve business problems. They allow people to have a business community, and they can ask anyone in the business community if they have a problem. So if somebody has a fur coat returned in, I don't know, Juneau, Alaska, and they may have it returned to them at another dry cleaner store in New York City, and somebody has left a fur coat there. Well, these business owners can ask each other questions and have had similar situations, similar problems, and how they were resolved. And if they really have a problem, they can call an expert, an Ask Brien expert. Has to be duly qualified. Not everyone can become an expert. You have to apply. Kind of like going to law school, medical school, dental school. You have to apply to become an expert. Not everyone will become an expert. Generally, Ask Brien looks for what? We look for people that have 10,000 hours, because until you have 10,000 hours, which sounds like a lot, you don't really know much. You might be one of the few lucky people that do have a background and do have a knowledge in shorter than the 10,000 hours. We find that is a pretty good criteria to determine whether or not you're going to be qualified to become an Ask Brien expert. We want people that can actually be considered experts and can help people out and solve their business problems. Every expert has the ability with a profile page on Ask Brien to post videos, post blogs, post webinars, schedule webinars on the universal Ask Brien webinar schedule. We even have channels, not like YouTube, but we have channels. You can be on the management channel, the marketing channel, and you can schedule your webinars at any time. And guess what? There is no cost to anyone. Why do we do this? We like to help people. We like to help business people solve business problems. Now, without any further ado, we have our guest. Sean, are you there?
I am here. I'm ready.
You had to. I know you had to listen to all that little stuff of what's going on here. You have never maybe been on listening to our show. Now you'll be tuning in every week, I'm sure. But that's what our little shtick is about. And I'm originally a New Yorker, which is why we're on 1220 and 98.1 FM. That's our call. So Sean,
nice.
People.
Yeah.
So most people do not know you yet, and we're going to try to introduce you and go over a couple of things. So first of all, what is your background? What are you focused on?
I do a lot of things. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a seven-figure-a-year earner, and I've been blessed to really chase my passion. And I do a lot of different things. I'm a nutritional biochemist, registered dietitian, certified sports nutritionist. And I started out like in hospitals and nursing homes and, working my way around, the clinical aspect of everything. But in time, I worked my way into nutritional supplements. I became known as the world's greatest formulator, which is a title I did not give myself, but I am proud of. And I became really well known, and I formulated for many companies. I've formulated probably over 500 products out on the market, and I've patented about 10 ingredients, which is a good source of my income now. And it's allowed me to actually further another passion, which is speaking and educating, which I don't get a whole lot of revenue from, but I get on TV, documentaries, magazines, podcasts, radio shows like this, and I just talk about health and fitness and wellness and things that are just on my heart. And I think that's my gift that God's given me, and I'm here to give it to everyone that'll listen.
So what is your most famous, popular supplement that you've created?
Oh, wow. I formulated everything at this company, BioTrust Nutrition, which is $150 million a year company, a massive company. Formulated everything at Dimetized Nutrition, amazing company that we helped sell for about $425 million. That's another thing I've actually done is worked on acquisitions with about 4 different companies in the supplement, food, and beverage space. So there's a lot of products out there, but sometimes I'm flying under the radar with doing a lot of work that I can't necessarily attach my name to, but I get the revenue from.
And you said now on the patents. Do you own the patents, or the companies you've worked for own the patents?
No, I own the patents. Those are patents that I do own, and I have some partners now, and we have about 20 more ingredients on the way, and that's a great passive revenue source of income. It takes probably for most of our ingredients about 2 years from ideation to commercialization. There's a lot of stage gates along the way with our partners because it can cost anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000 probably per ingredient. But you have to do a lot of steps. I mean, one of which is I have a partner in China that has about 100 scientists on his team, and just getting the ingredient made in the lab, and then can you scale it up in the factory? And then we look at its efficacy, meaning like how well it works. And we start doing small pilot studies, and we file patents. And then we do toxicology work to make sure it's what's called generally recognized as safe, which means you can put it in food and beverage and it won't harm anyone. And then, we finish all the filing, and we do some bigger scale studies like at the academic or what's called the CRO level, which is private research organizations. And then we get it out. And so I've got a bunch of things in the hopper that are waiting to hit the market, but probably one of the most famous ingredients that I'm associated with, it's probably a pair of them, it's called T-creen and dynamine. Those are both ingredients in the energy market, often replacing caffeine or sometimes paired with caffeine, that are in fat burners, pre-workouts, nootropic products, which means brain-boosting products. So that's super popular. A lot of energy drinks have it. So that's a big one. And then we patented some ketones and some other things that are out there that are certainly gaining popularity as well.
Wow. I mean, I think if you applied for Ask Brien Expert, I'm pretty sure you'd be accepted. You have quite the background there, even without 10,000 hours.
Well, speaking of background, actually, Sean, I was wondering if you'd be able to kind of give all of our listeners an understanding of actually where did you come from? How did you get into sports? Is this something that came through school, and how did it bring you to where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I grew up with my mom was always into supplements, and like even back in the 70s, there was this company Shackley, and she had like the tackle box, with all the little pills in it way back then. And I believed in multivitamins and high dose vitamin C, like Linus Pauling used to talk about in the 80s. And so I believed in all this stuff early on. But I was at school in Babson, business specialty school, #1 business specialty school in the country. I was told to go there like, just go make money, go live in the real world. This is what you need to do. Of course, this is before like all the, self-help gurus and influencers on the internet that were telling you to chase your dreams. So I was just doing what the rational people were telling me to do. And it was a good path. I was in school for marketing and information systems, doing very well. But I started working out, taking supplements, like about my sophomore year at Babson, and I was at the doctor's office, and I was talking to him about supplements, assuming that he'd say supplements are garbage, like most, doctors would say, and, take medication and don't believe in any of that junk. But I got to talking to him, and he looked at me, and he could see my passion, And he drew out this lifeline between 20, which was the age I was at then, and to 80. And he said, why not be happy between here and here? And it was crazy. He gave me permission at that moment to chase my dream. It wasn't like some, hippie flower child saying, bro, chase your dreams, bro. Like this was at the time I thought a medical doctor is as smart as it gets and as successful as it gets. I wasn't really in the entrepreneurial world like I am now. It's very different. But like at the time, like to me, that was like the pinnacle of success. And this very smart, successful man was telling me, hey, son, chase your dreams. And it really changed my whole life path. These couple of words. So, it's one thing that I'd impress upon you guys is that you never know the power of your words. Just a few words literally can change someone's life path. And it really did for me. I wouldn't be the world's greatest formulator. I wouldn't be the only way that you can be incredibly successful is that you are passionate about what you do, and it's never considered work to you. Like when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That's how I do it. I work 80 hours a week to get all the stuff done that I was talking about. Oof. But even if I worked 10 hours a week, I'd outwork someone else's 80 that doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So this guy, like, it's profound. Like I have him to thank for my entire career and everything that's ensued. But interestingly, there was a flip side of that story where I decided, all right, I finished up Babson. I graduated magna cum laude. I got my degree. Like, I was already halfway through, so I might as well finish up. And then I decided to go back to school to get all the classes I needed to get into my dream school, Chapel Hill, for my master's in nutritional biochemistry. So I went to the school, UNC Greensboro, because it was in state where my parents were. And I talked to this guidance counselor and said, hey, here's what I want to do. A ton of classes like organic chemistry, biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, all this stuff. And he looked at me and he said, that would be 26 credit hours a semester. That's twice the normal load. You're a business student. There's no way that you could do that. You'll fail, and you'll fail miserably. And because I actually wasn't even that fit at the time, he threw that in there. He said, and you're not even that fit.
Oh, gosh.
And this guy, like the flip side of this is I think about that he could have stolen my dream from me, in just a moment as well. And again, it just reinforces like your words can make or break someone's life. Maybe they're going to commit suicide that day. And quite realistically, if I'm opening up, like that sent me into a tailspin where I thought about suicide because I was in a dark place at the time and I was hanging everything on my dream. And he kind of crushed me. And, but I ended up, finding my way out of that dark place and just going ahead and doing it myself. And I put everything, because they didn't give me financial aid either. I put it all on my credit card, which is not the best business decision, but I did it. And I went ahead and I graduated, got all my classes, got straight A's, got into Chapel Hill, finished there, became everything that I am now. And, luckily I used his words to strengthen my resolve every day. Thought about what he said, but it's the power of words for sure, and that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. It takes so much encouraging, from yourself, but also from other people to get you going, and no one's going to do it other than yourself. You said you went through school and some great ones. How did you transition from school and into the business world, and was it easy for you to open up your own company? Did you have any friends to help you out? How did you get started with your company?
Yeah, I actually really got going clinically, and I came out of school. I had to work, right? I mean, that's just the reality is I got my nutrition degree and from Chapel Hill, and started making about 40 grand a year as a dietitian. I came out as a chief clinical dietitian, which means I had some management responsibility because of my business background, which, looked good on my resume, but I wasn't bringing in a whole lot of money. Dietitians do not get paid well. It's just a reality. Unfortunately, like nutrition isn't valued as much as it should be, and there's way too many voices offering up nutrition advice that have no business offering it, but that's a different discussion. But I kept pursuing my passion in the background. I mean, if people want to know how you make it, it's you outwork everyone and you have passion for it. Mm-hmm. If this is your dream, no one's going to hand it to you. So while I was working 50 hours a week, managing a kitchen and dietitians and diet techs in a hospital, I had about 30 people under me, and scheduling and audits and patients that could live or die. I had all that responsibility, people that would call out on weekends. I was there holidays, snow days. I was working. But you know what I was doing every free hour I had? I was working on my dream of supplements, formulating supplements. I was on this board, bodybuilding.com, offering my advice. I was calling supplement companies saying, hey, do you need someone to help you write articles? Do you need someone to rep for you online? I'll take free product, but, I just wanted visibility. And then I started going to the shows, the Arnold and the Olympia, where these supplement companies were, and I would work the booth for free. I would do everything for free on my vacations, my weekends, my holidays, my evenings. It was all I did. 10 years in to my career post-graduation from my master's was the first time I took a vacation.
Wow. Oof. It sure seems like anybody, you want to really make it in life, you have to give a lot before you get back, and just
100%. You know what's one of the funniest things, and you guys may have heard this too, is like, I got nice things now. I live on a lake, and I've got a pretty house, and I've got a nice car, BMW M6, and all these things, and people are like, and I travel all over the world, China, Brazil, and, whatever. They might see me in some first-class seat or something like that.
Right.
But they say, like, must be nice. And I think sometimes to myself, like, granted, don't get me wrong, I am super blessed to be where I'm at, and I am not arrogant, and Shawn Wells is not one person. It's like I said, there's hundreds of people behind Shawn Wells that are responsible for Shawn Wells. I understand that, and my goal is to touch as many lives as possible. It's not about making money or bragging or doing any of that ego stuff. But the must be nice thing, like, really is kind of like so dismissive of how much work and sacrifice I put in. And sometimes I have a few nice things because I have so little time, because I have so little rest, that those things become very important for me to get a little pleasure or a little sleep or a little downtime, because I put in so much effort, so much work, and I give up so much of everything. So the must be nice can be hard to hear at times, because sometimes I think must be nice to like work 9 to 5. Must be nice to like check out in the evening. Must be nice to take vacations and chill and, not be stressed out at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
To not work the pace I've worked for 30 years.
We're going to be right back. We got to take a break, and when we get back, we're going to go over Shawn's Instagram accounts and websites, etc., so people can follow up.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the Law Office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the Law Office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Cruz, and my wife and I own the local pub and grill. With 19 70-inch TVs, it's the best place in the valley to catch a game. We have a vast selection of beer, wine, and specialty cocktails to choose from, including our charity ale, where 10% of every pint we sell goes to Carousel Ranch. Our menu features classics with a flavorful twist. Come by for Taco Trivia Tuesdays at 7, Wines Day for bingo and karaoke starting at 8 p.m., and karaoke every Saturday at 9. Local Pub and Grill, right next to Bevmo on the Old Road. Support local, support community.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
At SCVI, we don't just prepare your child for the real world. We empower them to imagine and build the world they want for themselves. Our tuition-free TK-12 charter school combines project-based learning with extracurriculars from robotics to theater to sports to give your child boundless opportunities to explore who they are. Located just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley, SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in the area. For enrollment information, including open enrollment options, visit ileadsantaclarita.org.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
With the safe disposal of waste from our homes in the Santa Clarita Valley, Chiquita Canyon Landfill is able to create enough green energy to power 10,000 homes each year. So you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM because I'm from New York City and I talk like an and we have our co-host Lindsay Mann and our great guest has so much experience, so much of a background. Guy touches my heart too. He's got a lot of stories we're going to go over. Sean, are you there?
I'm here, buddy. Let's do it.
All right, so a couple of things. First of all, we've had a couple of listeners on the radio. They've been asking where they can find you. Okay, so I know you have an Instagram account. Where could somebody find you? Our listeners the switchboard's been lighting up.
So Instagram at Zone Halo, ZONE like Twilight Zone, ZONEHALO like the angel. So at Zone Halo.
Oh my God, I got a story about that.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Say that again because I interrupted you. Instagram Zone
at Zone Halo with a Z, Zone Halo, and then SeanWells.com is my name, so SHAWN, SeanWells.com.
So my co-host and I had a business at one time, and we were talking about what the domain name should be, and she wanted the word Halo in the name. Yes, you did. You don't recall?
No, I don't.
Well, that was yours. And I have a text message. So that's why it's so funny that you're both on Halo and you're both into supplements. So it's very, very interesting.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, well,
we're connected.
I'm definitely
totally
into supplements. You should see my cabinet.
She probably has more
than... You should see my cabinet.
They're all falling off every time.
She probably has, more rows than Costco. Okay, so wanted to get back a little bit. There's a really, really interesting story we're going to be going over with Sean, but before we get there, I do want to make the connection here. We are a business radio show, and I did want to take a step back. And so how does the supplement and taking supplements affect an entrepreneur and their success?
Look, the ability to be an entrepreneur is one about a path that is really one of boldness and of energy and going against the grain. So often you feel alone, and it's hard. Like, that is draining. Like what I just said before about, must be nice and all this kind of stuff, like how much I had to give. And for years, until I was, maybe more recently, been in some masterminds and kind of gotten in certain circles where I've started interacting with some mentors. But for years, I felt like I was crazy and I felt like I was alone. And I faced a lot of health challenges as a result of that, that were really like brought about my passion and resolve even further. But I think hacking yourself, like the term biohacking, hacking your biology, is critical to keeping the right mental state and health, because you will be challenged. You're going to be, it's difficult. Like you always hear like the 4-hour work week and, like these guys that are sipping martinis like on the YouTube and whatever and just laying back on the beach with a Mai Tai or whatever. And I run my business. And that's not anyone I know. Like, and certainly there's billionaires like Elon Musk that have passion like I do, that have more money than countries do, than GDPs. And he's still like sleeping at the factory. Like he's still giving everything he has. Like I watched an interview the other day where he was in tears talking about how Neil Armstrong didn't really approve of his commercial space flights. And it broke him up to tears. Like this guy is like passionate. You may not like him or whatever, but like this is how hard. It's never about the money. Like I worked as hard as I work now way back then when I was making 40 grand. People think like, oh, when I get here, then I'll work hard. That's not how it works. Like I've always pushed. I've always had the work ethic. I've always wanted to give my best and give my all, give everything I have so I can do my best, so I can be my best. And that takes the right nutrition, the right sleep, the right hydration, the right exercise. Because quite frankly, what's the most important asset at your company? It's you. Mm-hmm. I mean, if your company's big enough, it's your people, but it's really important that you realize it's you. It's not like the machine or the car or the building or the products. It's you. So you need to take care of you. And that's where supplements are critical, and doing the right diet is critical.
So how does somebody know if they're on the right diet? And I'm not talking about food-wise. I'm not talking about whether or not a person's skinny or heavy. That's not what I'm saying. Nutrition is not necessarily affiliated with that, although there's a strong connection. My question is, how do you know that nutritionally you're on the right track?
We've gotten way off track, for sure. And it's all about capitalism, and that's certainly big business that we can talk about. There is something called the bliss points, and it's food engineers that manufacture these ultra-processed foods that make you overeat. It overrides what's called satiety, which means how full you feel. And this is a massive science. And the bliss point means you actually feel euphoria. So they manufacture these things. So, maybe like in nature, there's something that's crunchy, something that's soft, something that's spicy, something that's acidic, something that's sweet. But these manufactured foods often have many of these things rolled into one in a way that no normal food has. And it overrides satiety to make you overeat because it's triggering dopamine and serotonin in your brain, and it's causing euphoria, and you're not feeling full, and you can't eat just one like the Lay's potato chip, right? And so it's a science of making you overeat and never feeling satisfied. They actually make beverages that on the front end, you get all the sweetness and flavor, and on the back end, it's bland and you get nothing because it makes you keep drinking the fluid, the beverage. it's a science and it's a game, and you're being manipulated. And this does not happen when you eat whole food. So I've been keto for 20 years, and that's a whole other discussion. But the most important thing is getting away from processed food, or as it's now called, ultra-processed food, with all the stuff that's in it, the glyphosate, the RBGH, RBST, the antibiotics, the artificial flavors, colors, and sweeteners, the GMOs, the this, the that. It's all in there. All the sugar that's added to everything. I mean, that's the key, is get on whole food. All these countries that are, in these blue zones that are living a long time, they eat whole food. And they also take their time and eat and fellowship together while they're eating. And that's a key, too. Like, we're barreling down the road, shoving stuff down our face, drinking Mountain Dew and Burger King.
Isn't that the truth?
It's no wonder. It's no wonder.
Yeah. Sean, what is your idea of a balanced nutritional diet? Like, can you give me an example of your day's diet?
Well, mine's kind of unique because I do keto, which is the ketogenic diet, which is very high fat and very, very low carb. So it taps into an energy source called ketones that comes from metabolizing fat. So that's not necessarily necessary for everyone. I think it's very helpful if you're someone that has certain conditions. Obesity and diabetes are certainly well recommended for the ketogenic diet, but I use it to not only deal with those, but like my brain tumor that I've had in the past and my autoimmune conditions that I deal with, Epstein-Barr, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, Hashimoto's.
Wow.
So it's important for me to use these ketones. It gets very complex with basically, like, because we're eating this ultra-processed diet, we're having so much high glycemic food, which means high sugar, and which also means the hormone insulin spikes because of that sugar you're taking in. And that chronically elevated blood sugar and chronically elevated insulin causes inflammation, causes blood sugar damage to a lot of the different cells called glycation, causes oxidation, kind of like rust, like with iron. So there's all this damage that's happening because of the way we're eating. And then this triggers something called mitochondrial dysfunction. And I won't get too deep, I promise, but maybe if you remember like high school biology, there was the mitochondria, the cellular powerhouse, makes ATP. Basically, we get in a situation where we're not making as much energy as we need. And when we get in this chronic shortfall, that's when we get things like these disease states or my chronic fatigue or the fibromyalgia. Or like, it's basically like you're throwing in motor oil into your gas tank and throwing gasoline in the engine. It's like you can't operate that way for too long, and there will be repercussions.
Yeah.
So the diet has some impact there.
Yeah. Sean, it doesn't sound like you've ever been a bad eater. Do you think that maybe stress was the cause of, Hashimoto's, brain tumor? What do you think it was?
Oh, I was a bad eater.
Oh, yeah.
I was. When I was growing up as a kid, I believed in the power of supplements from my mom, but I was a fat kid, and, I wasn't like what I felt like was the best looking or first picked in gym class, or, didn't get dates. And my brothers, one of them was a male model and the other one was like a superstar athlete. And then there was me.
That's got to be tough.
And I felt like I was just, it was Oreos and Lucky Charms that were kind of my go-to. And I was smart. I was a smart kid, but I wasn't that great athletically as a result of being overweight, and I got bullied a lot, and it just reinforced all that. So, I got called fat ass and all these different things, and it was tough. Like, so I ate a lot of junk food, but it wasn't until, like I said, that college point when I started working out and started taking supplements and seeing changes, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I started talking to some girls and getting some, confidence going, but it took me a while. It took me until I was about 20 to kind of get on the right path.
Yeah.
I bet you that's where you got your perseverance and your tenacity from all that.
100%.
background.
100%. You know, our brokenness is our beauty. Like it's like our superpower. I never I don't run from it anymore. I tell my story about like how much I've dealt with, how broken I am with my health, like my suicidal thoughts in the past, like all these things, like they make me me. Like I wouldn't be what I am today without them, without a doubt.
And you're actually successful from all of that problems because you actually had the tenacity, you had the passion, and you had that drive because you were going to show everybody that you're right and they're not.
Right.
Look, if I could throw a stat out for you, so sometimes I work with CEOs in the food, beverage, and supplement space, and I help them do some rebranding, and we work on like story brand, like Donald Miller kind of stuff. I don't know if you've read that, but like just really helping them kind of get their passion back and recentering the company. And when I've talked to some of these guys, like it's amazing that I would say probably 30 to 40% of men as CEOs or high-level entrepreneurs have been molested. And you never hear that.
Wow.
You never, ever, ever hear that.
I'm shocked.
And these guys bury it, and I can't even tell you how often I hear it, but like really severe abuse, suicidal thoughts, molestation. Like I would say about 90% of high-level entrepreneurs have been through really severe trauma. And I think there's a lot of that there that you have to unpack. And, you know, it's certainly, I think, a big driver of like why we prove ourselves and push so hard and all those things. And then it takes a lifetime to figure out how to undo that and take a step back and actually enjoy what you've achieved. But it's hard.
Sean, what would you say was one of your hardest challenges, you know, through your life? If you can pick one chapter or another, what would be your hardest challenge, do you think?
The S. Brien radio show. I'm sorry.
When you were,
it's the...
yeah.
Uh-huh. No, go ahead.
Well, it's like, I'm sure when you were sick, that must have been a pretty tough challenge. You were probably working sick, starting your company, you know, and having to deal with that. But if you can choose which of the biggest challenges, which one would it be?
Possibly, yeah. When I was working 70 plus hours a week at Dymatize, and I was helping them go to sale acquisition, and so the hours were long and the stress was high, and I ended up getting diagnosed with the tumor, the pituitary adenoma, and I figured it out because I was losing muscle and putting on kind of fat mass, but like kind of getting skinny fat. And then my libido was zero. My energy was zero. I was tired all the time. Couldn't sleep. It was just getting to be a mess. Really bad headaches. And then we did some blood work. My testosterone was in the 70s, which is horrible. My estrogen was sky high. My prolactin was very high. And so we found out I had a tumor. And I got on some medication. I'm luckily diagnosed. I got on medication, really reinforced my diet of eating whole food and doing the keto thing and intermittent fasting and choosing the right supplements. But it took a while. Like that was tough to try and keep up that pace to where I was respected and all the things that were expected of me in that position, to really move the company. I don't know if you've ever worked in a company that's moving to acquisition on like a 3-year term, but it feels like every day is like on fire. So yeah. It was hard. It was very hard, but I pushed through it, and that's where a lot of this biohacking knowledge came from, is how to fix myself on the fly. Like I was changing the wheel while I was, going 70 miles an hour down the road.
So if you're an entrepreneur and you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, whatever, and you're trying to build your business, eating is tough, right? Because, for myself, I'm a lawyer, right? I'm working 80 hours a week. I don't have time. McDonald's is right there. It's easy to get the easy stuff, right? I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to do the right thing. So how does an entrepreneur get around that?
One of the most important things is actually sleep. If you don't get your sleep in, then you tend to make poorer choices, because they've actually shown with research that your neurons, your brain cells don't fire as well. They're actually tired. And what happens is you go back to it's decision fatigue, and you kind of go with what's simplest. Like, it's harder to do the more complex decisions or the new decisions. So if you're someone that's used to not eating well, or if you're someone that's used to not going to the gym and you don't get very much sleep, you tend to say, I'll put that off till tomorrow. I'll just do what's easiest right now. I'll go for what I know. That's your brain conserving energy when it's tired. So what I would say is very important is you get quality sleep. And it's really important to unplug those devices, at the end of the night, and not be using anything in the last at least 2 hours before you go to bed. And certainly when you have your devices at your face, like your phone, or you're watching your 4K HDR ultra bright TV at night, and you're getting wound up with Game of Thrones or SportsCenter or whatever it is, that's winding up your emotions, and then you're getting heavy blue light exposure, which actually blocks melatonin's release from your brain, and you can't sleep.
Wow.
So it's important that you turn off the devices. On your phone, there's a night shift or night mode, or depends on the operating system, or there's one called F-Lux on the computer. But it's important that you reduce the amount of blue light exposure that you're getting, and unplug from these devices. Certainly don't be looking at email late at night. You need to unwind, relax at night, and get quality sleep. Leave time for that, and then you'll make better decisions. You'll feel more rested. You'll have the energy to go work out, to eat the right thing, to not make impulsive decisions that can be counterproductive to your health.
Right.
We're going to be right back in about another minute, and then we're going to finish up. We've got another 5 or 6 minutes left. Thank you very much, Sean.
Your building sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new, larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you with a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com, or go to Feathers' brand new, bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon, or call 298-9442.
The Oasis treatment at the Ivy Day Spa begins with a gentle exfoliation, then rinsed away in warm showers. You're painted with a soothing aloe vera, shea butter, and coconut oil body mask. Then travel through the warm Hydro Cape chambers. The relaxation chamber completes your Oasis body moisturizing treatment with a pH balancing mist and a warm cup of tea. Feel refreshed, hydrated, and relaxed. Pamper yourself. The Ivy Day Spa, Town Center Drive.
I never thought I'd be looking for an assisted living home until Mom got sick. Suddenly, there were questions that I didn't have answers to, and only limited time to find the answers. What facility could take the best care of Mom? Then my mother's social worker gave me a brochure for assisted living locators and informed me that assisted living locators is recommended by more healthcare professionals than any other agency.
Call Shannon at Assisted Living Locators, 544-1004. That's 544-1004.
A true master of the arts and sciences. 500 years later, Leonardo da Vinci's genius still sparks the imagination. Explore the virtuoso's rare folios, discover his renowned inventions, and come face to face with over a dozen of his awe-inspiring life-size machines, including in its first time on exhibit, one of his most fascinating projects, the Great Continuous Organ, a world premiere collection, and a true Renaissance experience. The World of Da Vinci, the must-see exhibition at the Reagan Library.
At College of the Canyons, you're going places. Summer sessions begin June 3rd, 10th, 17th, and July 8th. Learn a new skill by taking Spanish, real estate, or art. Pick up a quick transferable class like biology, history, or sociology. Going on vacation? Take an online class from anywhere. COC also offers zero textbook cost class options. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule to search for classes today.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome to the Ask Brien Show. The following is paid programming and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back, KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with my co-host, Lindsay Mann, and our special guest, who's across the country, and his name is Sean. And we've been having a great conversation here. Basically, the conversation has been explaining supplements and nutrition and healthy lifestyle and how that can help an entrepreneur be more successful. We're going to go into that a little bit more. Some of the people, though, still have not got your Instagram. So let's go again. I know it's Zone Halo, but let's go over it in very, very small terms. ZONEHALO. Is that correct?
Yep, like Twilight Zone and like the thing around the angel's head. Yep, Zone Halo. And then my website is at SeanWells.com. So SHAWN.
Now, do you do any coaching, or do you just basically limit yourself to creating supplements and speaking engagements?
I do it like I feel like all this, the podcast, the documentaries, the TV stuff is me trying to coach as many people as possible on health and wellness, and certainly through my website. But I think I do some coaching one-on-one with some high-level entrepreneurs, like I said, like when I work on rebranding. But rebranding will start with understanding them as the person and why they started their company, which sometimes is just so critical to get back to. Like it gets lost sometimes when you hire, certain C-level people and you have a board and you're trying to think about ROI and getting the customer's demands and making everyone happy, and you kind of lost your way a little bit. And to me, the most viral companies out there, the companies that have the raving fans, are built around authenticity, which means that entrepreneur, that leader, has self-awareness, and they're doing what they love, and people are picking up on that. It's not about cashing in. They've cashed in because they're real. And there's such like a sense of that now. I think people have a good BS finder now, that they're just tired of like the corporate mumbo jumbo and rehashed messages, and they want something that's just refreshingly real.
So what's the most important thing an entrepreneur can do to be successful?
I think that's it. So I came up with a term that I think is really important, and it's building a brand with cause. And so that's connection, authenticity, uniqueness, storytelling, and emotion. And I think those are some key elements to creating a really good company. But you can't have the authenticity without the self-awareness. There's a lot of people that think they're being authentic, being real, but they haven't done the self-work. And it's so important to have that therapy, that downtime, work with the right people, connect, try and undo some of these traumas, unpack this stuff that I was talking about, the things that you've been through. And an entrepreneur has always been through a lot.
Yeah.
And so trying to understand all that and get to a good, deep level of self-awareness allows you to be authentic, and then everything goes from there.
Yeah. Sean, my mom always said, Lindsay, you should be a personal trainer. I said, I don't want to do that because I do that for fun. That's where I go for my out, right? Do you think it's hard? I try to help some of my friends these days to make healthier decisions, and I feel like it's very difficult to sway something on somebody when they think that they know that they're doing everything right. Do you encounter this problem with your clients?
All the time. And I'm someone who has a lot of credentials, a lot of knowledge, a lot of intelligence in this area, and I get challenged by people that have no background in anything all the time, and because they watched Dr. Oz, or they read a Dr. Mercola article or something, and neither of those guys are bad. I'm not saying that. It's just they read or listen to one thing and then they know it. And I would challenge you to not even listen to me 100%. Whatever I'm saying, go research it for yourself. Go find, verify it from other sources. That's something I try and take pride in. I'm not just some rogue person out here throwing out, things that sound sensational. I'm trying to tell you the truth, and then I want you to go find out for yourself if it is in fact the truth. So I do get challenged a lot, and I think one of the most important things, though, is to not push any agendas on people, not try and say, like, this is the one way. A lot of times I just try and just get them to meet them where they're at.
Sean,
like,
I'm sorry.
Drink...
I'm sorry we have to cut this off. Our time is out, and we'd love to have you on the show again. Thank you so much. Once again, everybody, you can catch Sean Wells at SeanWells.com or on Instagram at ZoneHalo. That's it.
KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Ask Brien. Signing off.